Hi, everyone. Welcome to Off the Shelf with Christine and Katie. This month, we are delving into books with an adventurous sea survival theme. The library was the recipient of the NEA Big Read grant, and it is the only public library reading in the heart of the sea. The Tragedy of the Whale Ship Essex by National Award-winning New York Times bestselling author Nathaniel Philbrick. And for those of you who may or may not know, In the Heart of the Sea tells the true story of the Essex whale ship tragedy out of Nantucket in 1820. And it is the basis for Herman Melville's Moby Dick. And it was then made into a motion picture in 2014 starring Chris Helmsworth, Tom Holland, and directed by Ron Howard.
Before Marvel.
Huh?
Well, this is pre-Marvel for Tom Holland, but
yes, pre-Marvel. Well, 2014.
Wow.
So we thought we would give you some of our recommendations on some other books and movies that kind of are similar to this shipwreck theme. All right, so let's begin. Katie,
all right, so we're going to first start off. So if you want to know a little bit more about the shipwreck of the whale ship Essex, there are these two books written by Owen Chase, who is a survivor of the disaster. Mm-hmm. Both books are available as ebooks on Hoopla. So once again, his book is entitled The Shipwreck of the Whale Ship Essex by Owen Chase. And it is about the harrowing narrative of an unfortunate vessel's calamitous encounter with a great white whale and the crew's perilous fight for survival on the open sea. The Explorers Club edition faithfully reproduces Owen Chase's original 1821 narrative, in which he chronicles the great white whale's attack on the ship, the Essex subsequent sinking, and the more desperate, exhaustive months at sea that followed, in which a fraction of the crew that survived desperately clung to life. Struggling against a relentless sea, the insufferable climate, and the ever-increasing hunger, Owen Chase was only one of 8 crew members who survived the ordeal.
Never realized how many actually went down with the ship, so to speak.
Same. I had no idea about any of this before we did the NEA project. So this has been a learning experience for me.
I just thought Herman Melville came up with Moby Dick. We all learned about it in high school, at least most of us did. I had no idea it was based on something that actually did happen. So I find that kind of interesting. All right, but now we're going to do book to movie time. Obviously, these shipwreck stories make for great drama movies as well. We have a few recommendations. You can try the book or just watch the movie, whatever you feel like. Both are, they're good choices. So we're going to start off with some of our classics. We've already mentioned Moby Dick by Herman Melville. If you're unaware of that book, it is about Captain Ahab, a brooding one-legged fanatic who has sworn vengeance on the mammoth white whale that crippled him. It's narrated by Ishmael, a wayfarer who joins the crew of Ahab's whaling ship. And this is the story of that hair-raising voyage and of the men who embraced hardship and nameless horrors as they dared to challenge God's most dreaded creation and death itself for a chance of immortality. We have a 20-plus book club that is also discussing Moby Dick. The second half of the novel they will be discussing towards the end of this month. So if you'd like to sign up and talk about this book, if it's one of your favorites or you want to learn a little bit more about it, feel free to sign up. Our next classic is Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe. He's the sole survivor of a disastrous high seas shipwreck and is forced to build a solitary life on a deserted tropical island. But he eventually discovers that even this existence is threatened by a local tribe, which uses his island for barbaric sacrificial rituals. Soon Crusoe will risk his own life to save a doomed tribesman from certain death. This movie also always reminds me of Tom Hanks' Castaway.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, just has those same kind of vibes. And then one of my absolute favorites is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. Troubleshooting 19th century seaman is trying to discover why so many whaling ships have been disappearing of late. Teaming with a scientist and a diver, they set sail to investigate. They are promptly captured by the megalomaniac Captain Nemo, who skippers a lavish, scientifically advanced submarine. If you've never seen the Walt Disney classic, it is an absolute perfect movie night for the family. Still one of my favorites.
Especially with Disney Plus being out now, you have nothing to lose.
Exactly. So, and now for some more modern tales,
Alrighty, so
Katie has some movies.
all right, I'm gonna take us away with the modern movies. So our first one is Jaws by Peter Benchley. And if you haven't seen Jaws, it is a must see. It is a classic, and the soundtrack, you will forever remember this soundtrack. You will never forget it. It's that good.
Don't be afraid
And
to go in the water.
so that is about when three people are killed by a great white shark on in three different incidents. The police chief of a Long Island resort is forced to take action. And our other movie slash book recommendation is The Life of Pi by Jan Martel. And it's about Pi Patel, having spent an idyllic life in Pondicherry, India, as the son of a zookeeper, sets off with his family at the age of 16 to start anew in Canada. But his life takes a marvelous turn when their ship sinks in the Pacific, leaving him adrift on a raft with a 450-pound Bengal tiger for company. And if anyone loves fantasy, I highly recommend Life of Pi, because one of those fantastical movies, and the guy who plays Pi Patel is amazing.
Yes, I thought it was great. I was a little surprised at the end myself, which is unusual. I usually figure things out, so it was pretty good.
Yes, it was a very good twist. We won't spoil it, but it's a good one. This one is called Adrift, a true story of love, loss, and survival at sea by Tammy Oldham Ashcraft. And it's based on a true story of survival. A young couple's chance encounter leads them first to love, and then on the adventure of a lifetime as they face one of the most catastrophic hurricanes in recorded history.
Yeah.
And our next recommendation is called A Perfect Storm, a true story of men against the sea by Sebastian Junger. The sword fishing boat Andrea Gale and crews attempt to rescue her struggle against a powerful North Atlantic storm. And the next recommendation we have is called The Finest Hours, the true story of the U.S. Coast Guard's most daring sea rescue by Mike Togas. In February of 1592, one of the worst storms to ever hit the East Coast struck New England, damaging an oil tanker off the coast of Cape Cod and literally ripping it in half. On a small lifeboat faced with frigid temperatures and a 70-foot high waves, 4 members of the Coast Guard set out to rescue the more than 30 stranded sailors trapped aboard the rapidly sinking vessel. And if anyone is interested, all these movies are here, and I think a few are in Hoopla as well.
Correct. Some of them are on Hoopla. So one of the things I loved about these movies that Katie mentioned is that they are all, with the exception of Jaws and Life of Pi, based on actual true events. So I think it's kind of interesting to see what these people struggled with. However, Jaws is supposedly inspired by some events that happened very local. So if you're interested in local history, I would suggest 2 books. 12 Days of Terror, a definitive investigation of the 1960 New Jersey shark attacks by Richard G. Fernicola, or Close to Shore, the terrifying shark attacks of 1916 by Michael Capuzzo. During the summer before the United States entered World War I, when ocean swimming was just becoming popular and luxurious, Jersey Shore resorts were thriving as a chic playground for an opulent yet still innocent era's new leisure class. Americans were abruptly introduced to the terror of sharks at that time. In July 1916, a lone great white left its usual deep ocean habitat and headed in the direction of the New Jersey shoreline. They're near the towns of Beach Haven and Spring Lake, and incredibly, Matawan, a farming community 11 miles inland, the most ferocious and unpredictable of predators, began a deadly rampage, the first shark attacks on swimmers in U.S. history. And this wave of attacks is said to be the inspiration for Jaws. Most of the attacks happened in the Asbury Park area, where, as you know, the boardwalk was a place to go. And in Matawan, the shark went up the Matawan River, which was a little bit bigger then. But
So there you go. We can claim Jaws as a New Jersey phenomenon. He is ours.
He is ours. So we should be proud to have watched Jaws. So.
Alrighty. So, and if you guys are more interested as well in other books by Nathaniel Philbrick, who is the writer in The Heart of the Sea, or if you liked any of these topics, we have a virtual book display on our NEA page on our website, which we will link below for your viewing.
So if you're in the mood for some survival, some shipwreck, and some sea creature mayhem, check some of these out, and we hope you enjoy it. See you next month.
See you next month.